Thinking Byzantine here, and today we'll be talking about BlackBerry. Now, before we get into this, I would like to say that I'm not a financial advisor, and this is all my own opinion. Your investments are your own responsibility. The information I'll be using is from January 24th or before, and I have sold some puts on this stock. So, shedding some old bags. So, BlackBerry was once a premier phone maker in the early 2000s, capable of rivaling the giants of the day. But eventually they were disrupted by Apple, and they stopped producing their famous phones in 2016, though licensed production continues to this day, with Onward Mobile currently making a 5G BlackBerry. The recent selling of phone-related patents to the Chinese phone manufacturer Huawei also signifies a shift from hardware to new ventures in software. You could read this paragraph on your own if you want to just pause the video real quick to read this, but in essence, they have become a software and security company. Now, here's their business segments by revenue. So, software and services brought in $162 million. Licensing and other has brought in $56 million. And as you can see here, from Q3 2020 to Q3 2021, BlackBerry has suffered a decline in revenue in both segments, with the biggest decline being in licensing and other. I hope I got it right that time, but of over 31.7%. And this decline can be attributed to COVID, hurting QNX. Now here's their margins compared to other software and security companies. And as you can see, their margins aren't bad, but they're definitely lower than other companies. And they did suffer a 5.8% decline in margin. And this decline can be attributed to COVID. Now here's their balance sheet, and as you can tell, that they suffered a massive decline in goodwill and a minor decline in cash and cash equivalents. But their current ratio still suggests that BlackBerry can still cover any liabilities they have, though it did decline from 2.86 in February to 2.69 in November. Now, BlackBerry is not very leveraged, as BlackBerry had redeemed $615 million of bonds, and they reissued $375 million of convertible bonds with a coupon rate of 1.75%. So BlackBerry took advantage of the lowering interest rates just to reissue cheaper debt. Currently, their debt-to-equity ratio is only at 0.26%, which means, like I said earlier, BlackBerry is not very leveraged, which is a good thing. Now, cash flow from operating activities. So, we saw a slight increase from 30 million from negative 8 million, which is good. It means they're finally cash flow positive from their operations, which is something nice to see for a company that was once in decline. And here are my catalysts for growth for BlackBerry: have growth industries, electric vehicle wins, IVY, BlackBerry cyber suit and security, monetization of patents, a shift in perception, and the Facebook lawsuit. So, BlackBerry currently operates in fast-growing industries like crisis communication and endpoint security, with both of them growing at over 30% a year. And BlackBerry can use their projects to leverage a commanding position in these fast-growing industries. Electric vehicle wins and growing data moat. So BlackBerry QNX has design wins with 19 out of the top 25 electric vehicle manufacturers. BlackBerry's QNX is currently installed in over 150 million cars, giving BlackBerry plenty of data to work with. With wins with EV makers, they can continue to gain more data as EV cars are projected to grow significantly within the next few decades. And using this data, they can use it for autonomous cars, as autonomous cars really rely on safety of the passenger if they're going to get past government regulations. Now here's IVY. So basically, BlackBerry and Amazon have entered an agreement to develop an intelligent vehicle data platform leveraging BlackBerry's QNX automotive capabilities. BlackBerry expects that IVY will generate recurring revenue beginning with the 2023 model year vehicles, which will launch in the company's fiscal 2023 fiscal year and will greatly increase revenue over time thereafter. So IVY can be used in many things, as IVY collects different data types from temperature, seatbelt, acceleration, hypersonic, and it could be used in app development, consumer services, smart cities, EV changing providers, insurance companies. It just has a plethora of addressable markets that IVY could be used in. So IVY could be huge for BlackBerry within the coming years, but as of now, it's still being developed, and it's still something you have to keep an eye on for the future. Now here's BlackBerry Cyber Suite and security. So it was a new BlackBerry Cyber Suite. It's a newer product released by BlackBerry. It's a comprehensive unified security solution. It provides a complete prevent, detect, and respond cybersecurity to enterprise of any size in any industry. BlackBerry Cyber Suite natively integrates with BlackBerry UEM or works alongside any UEM from other vendors such as Microsoft, IBM, and VMware. This gives the customers a leeway in vendors for UEM, while allowing BlackBerry a bit of a slice of the revenue, as BlackBerry Cyber Suite does work with different UEMs, just in case BlackBerry's UEM is not chosen. With the recent SolarWinds hack, BlackBerry security offerings could be a viable option for many companies and government agencies affected by the hack. Now, the monetization of patents. So, BlackBerry has a huge plethora of patents that range from their legacy business to what they do now, from operating systems to wireless communication. And a further leveraging of these patents can increase their cash flow. And if they need to, they can sell some more legacy patents to other phone manufacturers if they need to. And they're willing to do so, as they did sell some phone patents to Huawei, as I mentioned a lot earlier in this video. Now, the Facebook lawsuit. In 2018, BlackBerry sued Facebook for patent infringement. Recently, this lawsuit has been settled, though the terms have not been made public. Funds from the suit, if they're favorable to BlackBerry, can be used toward IVY or improving the other offerings. And if the settlement is big enough, BlackBerry could potentially use those funds to acquire another company. Now, there has been a recent shift in perception on BlackBerry, as right before 2020 or even 2021, BlackBerry was seen as this dying phone company. But with recent hype and promotion by Wall Street Bets and other internet forums, BlackBerry has begun to get some traction within the media, highlighting their shift in strategy from hardware to software. So we may see a re-evaluation of BlackBerry from a dying dinosaur to a long-term software growth company, and they may get those type of ratios as well, as you would expect for a software company. Now, here are some risks that I have identified with BlackBerry, and those are competition and their past performance. Now, competition part 1, UEM and cybersecurity. BlackBerry faces a lot of competition with UEM, and we have VMware, Microsoft, Webull, Iron, Citrix, IBM, Google, and more. They are all competing with BlackBerry on UEM. And from this chart here that I have on screen, you can see that BlackBerry has lost 6.3% of their market share, and that was in 2018. Now, cybersecurity is a very competitive field with many companies jockeying for position. As seen below, we have Cisco, Palo Alto, Checkpoint, IBM, McAfee, and more. And as you can tell, BlackBerry has to fight for every percentage point within the cybersecurity realm. Now, here's for more competition, and this time is for QNX, their car operating system, and IVY. Now, QNX is facing pressure from Android Automotive and Linux OS systems. And IVY is not set to launch till the fiscal year 2023, which means a lot of things could go wrong between now and then on the development of IVY. And IVY also itself faces competition from Google Cloud Platform, and ABI Research projects Android Automotive will dethrone QNX by 2027, as Android Automotive has the Google ecosystem, allowing for a smartphone-like experience, which people may prefer over the traditional car OS experience. Now, there has been mixed results since the shift from hardware to software, as you can tell here, and there has been little organic growth, to be honest, as they have been growing mainly through acquisition, as they acquired Cylance, which is now BlackBerry's security arm, in 2018. And all this here can indicate that there has been some maybe some mismanagement on management's part, or that management has not been able to effectively monetize their software and services. And we can also see that their margins have been declining. And recently, we can say the recent decline was from COVID, but what about the years before COVID? And that, like I said, could be a sign of company mismanagement, or that their competition is getting to them. Now, here's evaluating BlackBerry using price to sales, and we compare them to their rivals. So we have BlackBerry at 8.88, Cloudflare at 64.22, CrowdStrike at 63.05, and Android Auto at 7.56. Taking the average price to sales ratio of CrowdStrike and Google, since BlackBerry offers cybersecurity and a vehicle operating system, and if we divide those CrowdStrike and Google's price to sales, adding them up and then dividing them by 2, we get the 35.305. And using this price to sale ratio on BlackBerry, we get a fair value of $59.63, with a market cap of over $32 billion, and that seems a bit lofty. Now here's an evaluation of BlackBerry using price to free cash flow, and we compare them to the rivals. So we're using the same formula as before, but with a different ratio. And using that same formula, we get a fair value for BlackBerry at $10.69, with a market cap of $6 billion. So the reason why I didn't use this kind of free cash flow was mainly because I'm not very comfortable with projecting BlackBerry's earnings, as those earnings seem to be very erratic. Also, with these contradictory evaluations, with the low at being around $10.60 and the high of being close to $60, we can say the $60 evaluation is the high bullish scenario, and the $10.69 scenario is the mildly bearish scenario. So if we take the averages of the previous averages, we get a fair value at $35.16, which should be seen as my price target, as currently BlackBerry sits at $15. And if you want to buy this stock, I would suggest a margin of safety. And if we use a 15% margin for safety, we get a buy target at $12.75. Now, BB is a company with a lot of potential, in my opinion, but it faces a lot of strong competition in many of its segments, and BB still remains a difficult company to evaluate. So I suggest using using which direction the price of the stock will go in the long and short term. And I think BlackBerry is bullish in the short and long term, but it still needs a lot of things to go its way to becoming the data giant that some people are projecting. Now, before you get into BlackBerry or any other stock for that matter, please do your own due diligence. Now, please like and subscribe if you like this type of content, and tell me, what do you guys think of BlackBerry, and do you agree with my valuation and price targets? This is Thinking Byzantine, and have a good day.